Hi, I'm Jason Thompson.
Hi, I'm Rob McPherson.
We want to take a little bit of time to talk with you about the capabilities that we can offer around motion control solutions. When people think about QA1, they often think about motorsports. We've done a lot in motorsports, but we're also equally proud of the work that we've done with OE customers for a variety of other industries. Today, we want to just share with you some of the ways that we work with customers, learn a little bit more about your scope, your requirements, and that we help to identify your needs so we can help design a product to meet your requirements. QA1 has a broad offering of product capabilities. You can see some of those examples here with rod ends, jam nuts, linkage, through our shock absorber, through even a full motion control assembly. What we like to do is collaborate. I mentioned that earlier, talking with our customers, learning a little bit more about the requirements that they have, and then engaging our OE development team, which consists of engineers, quality control, program managers, and myself. And once we get that discussion going, we get that collaboration going, we get a design, and then we can start that through our product development process. And Rob, can you share a little bit about that product development process?
Sure. Regardless of whether the customer is trying to do an iteration on an existing design to make some improvements or has a clean sheet design with a brand new concept in mind, we typically employ a phase gate product development process that allows us to work through the initial ideation through various prototypes and all the way to production validation and introduction into the production process. So we can employ bits and pieces of that process along the way to match the needs with the customer's project. We like to work back and forth to, generate ideas or jump right into production depending on the needs of the customer. One of the things that we look at is when we're designing these parts, we want to understand the production intent. What's the quantity, what's the cost targets, and things like that. We can bake that into the design and the checkpoints along the way in the product development process.
So Rob, how does QA1 ensure that the design requirements that we collaborate and develop with the customer, along with the quality that we desire to provide in a product, is met with that initial production as well as follow-on production runs?
Good question. Once the design is done, we would go into a validation process to make sure that the design meets the original requirements that were defined earlier in the process. So we have at our disposal quite a bit of equipment to test the product, test the prototypes, whether it's our electromechanical shock dyno, Tinius pull tester for strength testing, coordinate measuring machine to verify dimensional accuracy of the components. We have a range of equipment that we use to validate the design to make sure it meets those design requirements. Then after that, we would work with the customer to support the performance testing that would happen at their facility and with their equipment to make sure that there's real-world testing that happens on there to ensure that the design meets the performance. Then, once the product is in production, we would support the life cycle of any issues that come up that need to be addressed. So if you have problems that come up during the production process, we would open up a corrective action on our side to collaborate with you to solve those problems. That might require design changes or design improvements to make an even better product as we go through the life cycle of the product.
So we talked about our robust design capabilities. We also want to touch on our manufacturing capabilities. We have a lot of manufacturing capabilities here in Lakeville, Minnesota. Rob, can you talk about those and expand on that a little bit?
Sure. At QA1, we design the process to match your needs, whether it's prototypes, short-run production, or high-volume automated production. And in short-run production, there's going to be manual processes and manual checks along the way to ensure that we've bake the quality into the process. In the high volume productions, we would employ some of our automated lights out equipment to make sure that it's efficient, do custom automated cell as necessary to produce the product in the volume that you need. So we've got your needs covered, whether it's the prototypes, the short run production, or high volume, we've got the equipment to do that. So Jason, why don't you talk us through one of the examples of a recent customer project?
Sure, this is a great example where QA1 has leveraged an existing product that we had, taken our capabilities, and then developed a full motion control solution. So customer came to us, they actually have a smaller autonomous vehicle, and they were just interested in a shock. We had a shock that was an off-the-shelf shock, you can see here, and it met their requirements from a sizing standpoint and such. So we sent that to them as a sample. They reviewed it. We started the dialogue with our engineering team, and they started to realize that there were some little tweaks that they wanted. They needed a custom spring, needed some custom valving. There was also some minor customization to the shock. But as we were going through that, one of the customer pain points came up that the control arm design really wasn't meeting their needs and it wasn't cost efficient. And so through that discussion, our team, worked with the customer to identify a design and then expanded to a couple of control arms, as you can see here, with a mounting plate, along with this shock absorber to meet a full motion control solution. The customer was really happy with that because we met a cost efficiency price point, but we also improved their labor. Now this comes to them fully designed, it's consolidated the supplier base for them, and it also, again, reduces the labor that's required. Thank you for taking some time learning more about QA1, our products, our processes, and ways that we could support your motion control needs. Please feel free to call me at 952-985-6387. I'd love to learn more about your application. Once we establish that relationship, we could bring in members of our OE development team, our engineers, talk with you a little bit further and explore ways that we could support your company.